Are you worried your family history research might be lost to future generations? Is it currently sitting on your computer or hard drive? Maybe it's in file folders that no one wants. We are Lynn and Danette. We're cousins. We're family historians. We're a writer and an artist. And we've joined forces to create Heirloom, pre-made templates that take all the work out of building your family history book. We help fulfill your family history book dreams. Join us every Tuesday for conversations and questions with Lynn and Danette, helping you build your legacy for future generations. Our pages, your story. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations and Questions with Lynn and Danette. Welcome back, Danette.
Good morning, Lynn. Way up there?
I'm very good, and you just returned from a lovely vacation.
Yes, I did. I toured around Europe a little bit.
Very nice, very nice. So today we're talking about timelines.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, and I love timelines because I think they're just a really great visual tool to help you put the events of your ancestors' life in chronological order, sort of a big picture view for the reader, but also it's great to allow you to put it within sort of context of the times, right?
Exactly.
A timeline doesn't have to be that big picture view of a person's life from birth to death, that chronological tale. You can use a timeline to focus in on a specific area of an ancestor's life. So you could focus in on their childhood. You could focus in on maybe an immigration, a particular event, a military career, maybe their education or, their career in general, migration. So there's lots of ways that we can use timelines in our family history books to help highlight specific things that you want to bring to the attention of the reader. I'll just talk too a little bit about what kinds of things can we put on our timeline. So first, if we just start with our genealogy information, right, we can put those births, deaths, marriages all on there, religious milestones, education, military service, employment, property transactions. You could load up your timeline with all those wonderful things. But I think to really take your timeline to the next level is to bring in world, regional, and local events. I love that because it really helps you to correlate perhaps what is happening in the world with maybe decisions that your ancestor was making.
Exactly. It could affect why they immigrated. Mm-hmm. Most importantly, usually.
Yes.
On this particular one that we're showing you, the John Phelan family timeline, which is part of our family,
right?
What we did was show those events that directly affected his life. Mm-hmm. I won't go into great detail. As Lynn said, you can buy her book. But what we have done is color coordinated everything so that when your reader is looking at the book, they can get a sense of what's a personal timeline. For example, the marriage right up here is where we've started, the marriage between John Phelan and his wife, Susanna. But then we have different family events, births, deaths, grandchildren, that type of personal thing, immigration, etc. And we use these pretty little icons just to make it more interesting. Now, you can use them or not use them, but I went over here in Elements. I just clicked in whatever I was looking for, and then it would come up, say a barn, because he was a farmer. And of course, I would resize it and all those kind of things. So that's where you would find that. And of course, by now, you probably know how to change the color of the fonts, etc. So let me get rid of this because it's kind of in my way. So we went all the way through his death, which was at the time controversial. So we marked it right up here. But we also made sure to include the world event or the local event that made his death a little controversial. So it's important to include all those things, but they should be things from your story. Otherwise, they won't make any sense.
Absolutely. If I could just jump in here,
Sure.
In terms of what kinds of events you could take a look at to add. So things like wars and famines, natural disasters, gold rushes, land offerings.
Political
you can include
things.
Yeah, political events, change of big laws, like, Catholics getting the right to vote or women getting the right to vote, inventions, even pop culture, the Beatles coming to America or things like that. And then, of course, health, epidemics, that type of stuff. So there's lots of things that we can add that helps to put your ancestor within the context of the times. And so I know, like you said, Danette, sometimes, 1820 doesn't really mean a lot to the general lay person. But if you put an event in there, like a world event or an invention or something like that, it gives them something to relate to.
It sets your relative in a time period. Rather than just seeing a number, you get a feel for the time they lived in. And then, of course, your other events would be local events that directly affected their lives. Mm-hmm. Well, not just local, but world events could also directly affect your life. But so those events serve several purposes in your timeline. And of course, you could choose not to have any of those, to just put the person's life, birth, death, marriage, etc. So there's lots of different ways you can go with that. I think Lynn has a few other templates to give you some examples.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll show you a few others, but just before we move on, Danette, could you just show us, we are able to move all those lines, change those dates, and really customize this whole timeline.
Yes, when you get these as a template, it'll look something like this, but say you don't have an event in 1845 or whatever, just move your bars around as you need them and fill in your text as you need it. You get rid of that and put in your family's event. Same with the pictures and the icons. Everything is completely changeable, customizable to what you need.
Yeah. Very easy to do. I enjoy it. I find it fun making a timeline. I really love to add things to it and see what I can add
make
to
them
it.
Bigger, smaller, and most everything can be found over here in Elements.
And also, we should say we've done this timeline a certain way. It's one timeline. If you were doing a book, this would be a 2-page spread.
Oh, definitely.
But you can also turn this timeline into a banner, which I love. If you could click up on the print banner there, Danette, and show, and it gives you a little example. And you can choose the size of banner you want. And it's a nice vinyl banner. And I mean, for $47.50, I think that's
right. Yeah, they're very nice for, say, family picnics or family reunions, or if you're giving a lecture or whatever. But exactly. It's very nice.
I fully intend to make one for our next reunion. Yeah, absolutely. Love it. So you could take your timeline, you could have it in your book, but then you could also just resize it. If you have, I think you need to have Canva Pro to resize. But if you just resize it, you can make a print banner.
Right. Timeline, not just make a banner out of it, but you could also have it printed and framed if you enjoy something like that in your office or wherever. So there's lots of different things you could do with the timeline besides put it in your book.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Let's jump over. If you want to turn the share over to me. This is very similar to the one we were just talking about, but I'll just maybe click through them here, Danette, and you can speak to them a little bit. Again, we're showing here the 2 pages, right? So we would put these back to back in a book, and so they would be a nice 2-page spread.
Right. Right. I made one page 1800 to 1900 and the other 1900 through today.
Right. Yeah. And see on here, we've added pictures here, our ancestors' pictures. So that's another option you have.
Yep.
And moving along, here's a nice one. This is lovely.
Same idea. It's just a different look.
A little different look,
Um,
little format.
and it's all just one man's life. And all right, here's a totally different concept because you can have a small timeline with just the important events in one person's life, birth, death, children, whatnot. And then you can include some photos. All of those are customizable, of course. And
this is a great timeline for a profile, because
yes, it is.
you could do a 2-page spread, and on the other side you'd have your little profile written up, but here's sort of the highlights of that person's life with a few pictures. Love that idea for a profile.
Exactly.
That's great.
Yeah.
And then the next one, oops.
That again, it's a 2-page spread, but what I did with this one is make the world events or current events, whatever, small and in a different color, and then the person's events,
right,
life events, birth, death, etc., larger and darker.
Right.
And it's all color coordinated, of course.
So if I go into preview, you can see those 2 pages together there now.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what it would look like in your book.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can change the colors according to what your book looks like.
And then our last one here.
And this is another one that's also very good for your profiles or to put in a book.
Absolutely. Yeah. Another coordinating page with your story written beside it. Yeah. Love that. Yeah. Okay. Wonderful.
That's it.
Yeah. So great tool to add to your family history book, to give your reader that a big picture perspective of.
That's exactly what it does. Yeah.
Of what's happening in their life or a particular event in their life. And it's a really nice visual to include in your family history book. Really easy and fun to make as well. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed that. Yeah, that was a good one. We will be back next week, obviously, with another discussion. I think we're doing countries next, right? We're going to talk about.
I think we are. Yeah, we have lots of different templates for lots of different countries.
Countries, and just sort of how you can add countries where your ancestors have come from. Sort of add that little bit of element to your
why it's important. Yeah.
Next week. Yeah. So. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today, and make sure you give us a little love and like this video. Please feel free to put some comments below or shoot me an email if you have something that you want to ask, you want us to address in future videos.
Yeah. We did the conversation. You guys do the questions.
Exactly.
Fair trade.
Yeah, fair trade. So otherwise, we'll see you back here next week for another edition of Conversations and Questions with Lynn and Danette.
Okay. See you next week.
See ya.